Right now at 5, the city of Carthage wants to put the issue of recreational marijuana back on the ballot, but this time for a tax increase.
We are much colder as we kick off our St. Patrick's Day across the 4 states. We will talk about those cold temperatures and when we'll start to see a warm up again coming up.
And Third Thursday draws money to the city of Joplin, but where does that money go?
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. on this St. Patrick's Day. I'm Tanya Buck.
I broke it. I'm Chris Warner. My youngest, hold up here. He wanted me to wear this. He picked it out for me, and I was trying to put it on real quick, but then I broke it and didn't work out so well. But it's a nice little bead green tie, so it's perfect for St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you're wearing your green out there. There we go. That's as good as it gets. I hope it makes him happy because he really wanted me to wear it. I don't know how it's going to look over there, but boy, it is cold and you need as many layers as you can possibly get today because it is a bit on the chilly side across the area. MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline. It doesn't show the cold. We've talked about that, but it is quite cold out there. Thankfully, we've dried out, and as mentioned, any snow we saw, because I saw a couple of flurries this morning, didn't really do much. 29 degrees in Joplin. Feels like 19 with a northwest breeze at 12, and that's what I thought. See, now I'm partially invisible, but it's all right. It works. Across the region, it is cold. 27 in Iola, 28 Fort Scott, 29 Pittsburgh, 30 Chetopa, Miami, 29 Neosho, Carthage. You factor in even a light breeze right now, and it feels a lot colder. It feels like 16 in Iola, 20 Chanute, Parsons, feels like 21 in Miami, 19 in Carthage. So it's so cool, though. A very cold start for us. And we are upwards of about 30 degrees colder now than we were 24 hours ago. However, that means that we held on to about 10 degrees of warm up. Because if you remember, over the past couple of days, we've warmed up in the mornings by about 40 degrees compared to 3 days ago. So we only lost 30 degrees of that 40 that we've managed to gain. As we go through today, not going to be exceptionally warm, unfortunately. We've got a cold start for us. It'll still be breezy through the morning hours until about noon, but we're talking gusts 20 to 30. So the wind advisories have either expired or been canceled. And as we head into the afternoon, we'll have partly cloudy skies, again, cold one. We're looking at highs right around the mid 40s for most of us. Some of us might creep into the near 50 degrees. Winds let up. They'll still be a bit breezy, but nowhere near like they were yesterday. Partly cloudy skies. We head into this evening. We remain partly cloudy, and eventually we start to clear out at least a little bit overnight. That allows us to get very cold again tonight as we drop back down to 25 for our low. We head into the weekend. 38 tomorrow, 42 on Sunday, 55 for the first day of spring. And the good news is we do start to warm up into the 60s, near 70 by Thursday. And even after some storms Thursday, we cool down, but not that much. Only down to 60, and we get back into the lower to upper 60s throughout next weekend. So spring is here, and at least it's going to stick around for a little while. Tanya?
All right, I think it's pretty cool too, Chris. Well, the man who Crawford County authorities say was involved in several incidents with gunfire, including shooting at law enforcement, has been charged. Aaron Swink is charged with several counts ranging from first-degree attempted murder to assault of a law enforcement officer, criminal threat, and aggravated assault, among other charges. Crawford County authorities last week searched the Pittsburgh area for more than 10 hours before finding and arresting Swink. They say he shot at a vehicle, a building, and exchanged gunfire with deputies leading up to the search. Authorities identified the body found last month in Galena, Kansas as a man's from Carthage, Missouri. Kansas Bureau of Investigation says the man was 52-year-old Peter Whittington. KBI says Whittington last spoke to his family in late 2022. They say there's no signs of foul play, but they are waiting on the final autopsy report. His body was found February 27th in a field. And the city of Carthage is looking to raise the sales tax on recreational marijuana. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Carthage City Council has voted to call an election on the question of whether to impose an additional 3% sales tax on recreational marijuana. Voters will see this on the upcoming ballot.
The City Council voted unanimously to approve that tax. It's something that's allowed by the new amendment that passed to allow cities to collect taxes to kind of help offset the cost of this type of thing.
With the additional 3%, the city is expecting to generate more than $50,000 within the first year for the city's general fund.
So I don't believe that the amount would change because 3% is what cities are allowed to charge by law. And so they couldn't go over that unless there was an amendment that was passed to allow cities to change that percentage.
The amendment that legalized recreational use already placed a 6% sales tax by the state of Missouri. The amendment also authorized local governments to impose an additional 3% sales tax on recreational use.
I don't think that it will affect our business very much at all. I do think it will affect the community greatly, though. I think that it's a relatively low number. It's 3% for the city tax. Even when you add that up with the cannabis tax, the state tax, county, everything like that, it still totals to be one of the lowest, if not the lowest total tax rate in the country for cannabis.
The local dispensary supports the additional sales tax because the community will directly benefit from it.
It's a really good thing. We're making a lot of people feel a lot better. And then you add on a little bit of extra tax revenue to the communities on top of that, then I think we're doing a lot of good for the city of Carthage.
Reporting in Carthage, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Jasper County has its own recreational marijuana sales tax question on the ballot, on the April ballot, as do several municipalities within the county, including both Joplin and Webb City. City of Joplin is celebrating its 150th birthday next week and asks residents to join events they'll be hosting around the town. The events are free of charge thanks to sponsors and fundraising. For those wanting to support the celebration, there is 150-year merchandise available.
The public can help by buying one of the centennial commemorative coins, and those are available at all the Joplin, Southwest Missouri Bank locations, and they're $20 for a commemorative coin, and that money goes back to help us put on the event.
Patrick Tuttle says more events celebrating Joplin's 150th year will be announced soon. You can find a link to the current list of events on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And KOAM's Yana Haudala takes us to Joplin for a closer look at the city's upcoming anniversary in our next hour. Joplin's first Third Thursday event of the year took place last night, and this is video from last year, though. The weather apparently scared off this crowd. Now, the event features a variety of local nonprofits, businesses, and food vendors. Every vendor must pay a fee to the Downtown Joplin Alliance to be a part of the community event, and those funds are used to keep the event going and to reinvest in the community. According to the executive director of the Alliance, Lori Hahn, a different local charity or organization is selected to receive funds. The money is also used to hire officers and others to help run the event.
And then we work a lot with vacant buildings and prospective developers and stuff trying to fill buildings that have been vacant or are vacant. The Olivia is a good example of that, or like right now we're working on the depot to try to find developers for that.
Day runs from March to October. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Missouri Tigers make their first appearance in this year's NCAA tournament to face Utah State. But would it be their only appearance? Chris has the answer in sports. Plus, Bagora. If it isn't St. Patty's Day, people around the world celebrate today in many ways, and we want to know what your celebration looks like. And another pharmaceutical company announces it will lower its price for insulin. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
This winter, Kramer's meets 10th and Rangeline in Joplin.
Well, the NCAA tournament is in full swing, and the Missouri Tigers are looking for their first win in the tournament in 13 years. And they had a chance to do just that Thursday afternoon against Utah State. In Sacramento, starting in the first half, Samoy Hodge with a three ball. He buries it at a game-high 23 points. Mizzou is up by 7. A few minutes later, Utah State's Sean Barstow throws it down with some authority. Aggies down by 3. Under a minute to go in the half, Steve Ashworth slices through the defense to get the bucket. Mizzou is up by 4 to end the half. And the second half action, Mizzou down 2. Kobe Brown with the steal and posts up with the reverse jam. What a move. Tied up at 49 all. Under 2 minutes to go. Mizzou up by 8. Inbounds play, corner 3, and Nick Honor puts this one to bed. Mizzou wins it over Utah State 76-65, and they advance to the round 32. On to the Midwest region, the defending national champs, Kansas Jayhawks, are in action against the Howard Bison. In the first half, Jayhawks up 2. Marcus Dockery drains the 3 in transition. Howard up 1. Later in the first, Jayhawks down 1 until KJ Adams says, "Get out of my way," as he throws it down for the jam. Gives KU the lead. Still in the first, DeJuan Harris with the alley-oop pass to Grady Dick. He can't finish it, but Jalen Wilson is there to pick him up. That puts the Jayhawks up by 8. In the second half, Jalen Wilson misses, but get the rebound, and Kevin McCullough with the two-hand slam. KU up 16. Defending champs starting to feel good. Later in the second, Harris shoots and misses, but Grady Dick goes up high and down low to finish the dunk off the miss. Kansas go on to win 96-68. Webb City Cardinals kicking off the baseball season, hosting Bishop McGuinness Catholic out of Oklahoma City. On Thursday, the Cards got in their final practice before hitting the field for Game 1. Webb City was 19-16 overall last season. They won a district title and made the state quarterfinals before falling to eventual state champion Platte County. This year, the Cardinals returned 3 all-district players in Cy Darnell, Kaylor Darnell, and William Hayes. They also have a new head coach in Andrew Danig. He says he likes the talent in this group, especially on the mound.
I think early in the season, our pitching depth is going to be something that's going to carry us along. I think as the season progresses, we'll get better offensively. You know, we're going to have some different guys in the lineup, but I think our pitching depth is something that we're going to be able to really kind of hang our hat on.
Of course, you have me and Kaylor, and then a couple other juniors and sophomores that I think are really going to step up. And our hitting is going to come together really well. We have Cy, Kaylor, Kinley, Quay Downstein, Eli. All those guys are all going to step up for us in different ways and make a big-time place for us.
But I think at the end of the year, we'll be a lot better offensively, and but for sure early on, we're going to play defense and pitch.
Let's shift gears to some MLB spring training. St. Louis Cardinals got shut out by the Houston Astros yesterday afternoon. Astros beat the Cards 3-0. Ben and Donovan went 2 for 3 in that one. Kansas City Royals also in action. They shut out the Oakland Athletics, winning 2-0. Emil Reyes went 3 for 3 with an RBI double. Still to come, a Chinese study shows that Pyongyang missile could reach the U.S. in 33 minutes, and what this could potentially mean for American air defense. Plus, we'll take another look at that chilly forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Well, it got cold pretty quickly once that cold front rolled through the area. Even saw some light snow, but as we figured, didn't really add up to anything. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line. We're looking good so far. We are cold out there, though, and a bit on the breezy side. 29 in Joplin, feels like 19 with a northwest breeze at 12. We could still see some gusts through the morning hours of 20 to 30 miles an hour, but all the wind advisories have either expired or been canceled. 27 in Iola, 30 Parsons, Chitopa, Miami, 29 Neosho, Carthage, Lamar. You factor in that wind, feels like 16 in Iola, 20 in Chanute Parsons, 20 in Neosho, and feels like 21 in Miami. And we are about 30 degrees colder now than we were at this time yesterday, which I don't really need to show you that for you to know that it is considerably colder out there. As we get our day started, again, we'll have some gusty winds out there. We're going to remain cold, getting into about close to the mid-30s by late morning. We're still looking at highs pushing about the mid-40s today. Some of us might even reach about 50 degrees, especially out west. Winds will start to let up this afternoon. Still a bit breezy later today, but nothing like what they were yesterday. And we'll have those partly cloudy skies. As we head into this evening, we will remain partly cloudy and we'll get cool pretty quickly, down to 35 by 10 and 25 for our overnight low tonight. We remain cool heading through this weekend. We're only at 38 tomorrow, 42 on Sunday, 55 for the first day of spring, so a little bit better. And then we start to get pretty decent as we watch for some additional windy conditions, maybe some thunderstorms on Thursday, showers on Friday into the 60s. And even after a bit of a cool down on Friday from 68 to 60, we remain in the 60s as we head into the upcoming weekend. Well, for the residents of Wichita, celebrating St. Patrick's Day couldn't happen soon enough. In fact, the city kicked off its festivities last weekend. As Joe Baker reports, the city was ready to get its green party on 3 years after the pandemic stopped the fun.
The St. Patrick's holiday is right around the corner, and people in downtown Wichita were celebrating the holiday early at the Wagon O Masters Patty Party at Nafsker Park.
Just enjoying the sunshine, drinking good beer, meeting new friends. It's a good time.
It's just a good time. It's a really chill vibe. It's a really good opportunity. Come out with friends, family, get some drinks in.
It wasn't the greatest weather to enjoy the festivities, with chilly winds and misty rains. Despite the weather woes, many still made it out to downtown Wichita to celebrate St. Patty's Day.
We're still having fun. We went back to the car and warmed up a little bit and then came back out and tried it again. The sun came out. We figured it would after the parade was over.
The rain didn't stop us from having a good time, you know. We came prepared, got our umbrellas, but now the sun keeps playing hide and seek, so we're just enjoying it.
Family and friends say they're glad the festivities are back after they were shut down for the last 3 years due to COVID-19. Many say it gives them an opportunity to gather for some quality time.
We've been playing this little ping pong. That was really fun. We don't really go out much, especially since, you know, the winter time. So this is really setting the vibe for the whole season. So it's really nice to be out here.
This is Wichita at its finest right here. Everybody's out enjoying it despite the weather. Everybody hung in there and everybody's had a good time that I've seen so far.
In Wichita, Joe Baker, 12 News.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. How do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Do you go to a parade? Do you do some drinking? Safely, of course. Do you wear green? Do you do all of those things? Or perhaps you don't do any of those things? Or maybe there's something else that you do. Well, make sure you take time to vote. And you can do so through our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so in the KOAM News Now app. And, of course, take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, FDA advisors voted Thursday to support a full approval for Pfizer's Paxlovid as a COVID-19 treatment in high-risk adults, stating that the benefits outweigh the risk. In 2021, the FDA gave the antiviral emergency use authorization for treating mild to moderate illness in high-risk adults. Since then, more than 8 million people have received the drug. Some users had reported a return of symptoms and a positive COVID test after finishing the 5-day course of Paxlovid. But clinical trial data has concluded there is no clear association with the COVID-19 rebound. Well, another drug maker is cutting the price of insulin. On Thursday, Sanofi announced it is dropping the price of Lantus by 78%. Lantus is the company's most widely prescribed insulin in the U.S. The company also says it's setting a $35 a month cap for patients with private insurance. Sanofi is also cutting the list price of its short-acting Apidra insulin by 70%. The move follows similar ones by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk this month. The price change is effective January 1st. Pfizer recalls more than 4 million packages of a prescription migraine medication. Company says the packaging for Nurtec ODT is not child resistant. The recall is voluntary, though. Pfizer says people do not need to throw away or return the medicine, but instead keep it out of the reach of children. You can find more information about the recall at Pfizer.com. Alarming new statistics show an uptick in maternal mortality rates in the U.S. As Astrid Martinez reports, the numbers are even worse for Black women.
Data from the National Center for Health Statistics shows more women in the U.S. are dying during pregnancy or shortly after childbirth. In 2021, more than 1,200 women died of maternal causes, compared with 861 the year before. The maternal mortality rate increased across the board in 2021 to about 33 deaths per 100,000 live births. But the rate for Black women was 2.6 times higher than for white women. Those numbers point to well-documented racial disparities in maternal health. Starting last year, a provision in the American Rescue Plan Act gave states the option to extend Medicaid postpartum coverage for a full year after childbirth to help improve maternal health. 29 states, including Washington, D.C., have implemented that extension. Rates also increased with maternal age, 6.8 times higher for women over 40 than those under 25.
Most deaths are preventable.
The CDC created the Hear Her campaign to prevent pregnancy-related deaths with an emphasis on listening to pregnant women's concerns. The CDC says knowing the warning signs could help save a life. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got ourselves a very cold start to our Friday and St. Patrick's Day across the area. Murdoch camera, 20th and Rangeline. We look good. What you don't know is that those cars out there, they've all got their heater on, or at least they should. We're at 29 in Joplin, feeling like 19 with northwest breeze at 12. And as we look at temperatures across the area, again, bitterly cold start out here. 28 in Fort Scott, 27 Iola, 30s in Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, Chatopa, Miami, Neosho, and 29 in Carthage. And you factor in that breeze, feels like 16 Iola, 17 in Fort Scott and Lamar, 18 in Carthage, feels like 21 in Miami, and that's putting us upwards of 30 degrees colder now than where we were yesterday. But the thing is we gained 40 degrees over the last couple of days compared to 3 days ago. So we've still technically gained 10 degrees from 3 days ago. We still have some wind gusts, 20, 30 miles an hour through the morning. Will be cold up to about 34 by 11 o'clock under partly cloudy skies. We'll take another full look at that forecast and when spring will actually get here when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, Kansas State powers up an electric safety training event for young teens.
We've got a very cold start for us this St. Patrick's Day, but there will eventually be warm weather. We'll talk about all of that coming up.
And what do you do with curious minds during spring break? Well, a museum in Parsons, Kansas has just the answer.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. Usually we have a little cheat clock up there. Here it comes. There it is.
Sorry.
So when it's not there, thankfully some of our weather graphics occasionally display the time on them. So
the best part, it's green today. I like it.
Yeah, the clock. Yeah, that little clock is green. Things you can't see at home that help make the magic of television work here at KOAM. And unfortunately, it's not a very lucky day weather-wise because it is quite cold out there for our St. Patrick's Day. MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline. It is cold. It looks good, though. Like I said, we did see some light snow. Tanya said she saw some. I saw a few flurries on my way in this morning. Nothing crazy. And that's the good news. We didn't have to deal with that, but we are dealing with the cold behind that front that came through. 29 in Joplin, feels like 19. That northwest breeze is at 12. So we take a look at temperatures across the area if we want to. I know we don't want to, but we got to. 27 in Iola, 30s, Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, Chatopa, Miami, Neosho, and 29 in Carthage and Lamar and Pittsburgh. Now you factor in that wind, and we're feeling like 16 in Iola, 19 Neodesha, 17 in Lamar, feels like 18 in Carthage, and 21 in Miami. And we are upwards of about now 30 degrees colder than where we were yesterday at this time, so it is noticeably cool out there. But as I pointed out earlier, one of the good things is over the last 3 days, we've gained 40 degrees. We were 20 degrees warmer yesterday in the morning, 20 degrees warmer the day prior. So we're still technically 10 degrees warmer now than we were 3 days ago, even though it is cold. We'll still have some wind gusts of 20 to 30 miles an hour. Wind advisories across the area they've either expired or they've been canceled. Partly cloudy through the morning, cold up to about 34 by 11. As we head into the afternoon, the winds will let up. We'll remain partly cloudy rather, and we're looking at a high of about 46 degrees. And as we head into this evening, we're dropping back down to a low of 25 under partly cloudy skies. And then through the weekend, 38 tomorrow, 42 Sundays, first day of spring, 55, below average, but good. And then we'll start to see temperatures warm to near 70 by next Thursday, and we're watching some additional thunderstorm chances as we head into Thursday as well. So spring will get here just a day or two late. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Joplin lawyer receives a state award. Roger Johnson of the law firm Johnson, Voorhees, and Martucci was named to the 2023 Power List of Healthcare Attorneys by Missouri Lawyers Media. That list recognizes 20 of Missouri's most powerful healthcare attorneys making an impact on the industry. Now, Johnson shared his appreciation for everyone involved.
It is a terrific honor, partly because we're the only law firm in Southwest Missouri where this award has been given. I'm the only lawyer in Southwest Missouri that's been given the honor for it.
Johnson earned his law degree from the University of Kansas in 1991. Residents in Parsons, Kansas will see updates on the area trails in the near future. Rotary Club in Parsons announced a $50,000 grant from T-Mobile to connect Rotary and Frisco trails. The money will also pay for additional safety features. Connected part will include emergency blue light stations that will be connected to the police department.
The city will be providing clearance on both sides of the trail, and that way we'll have, we don't have to have people worried about walking through the trail regardless of the time of day or any kind of security concerns.
Charles estimates everything to be finished later this summer. Coming up, when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, Yana Haudala takes us to Parsons for a closer look at the city's trail renovations. Well, it's never too early to learn about electricity safety, and on Thursday, Kansas State hosted an electric safety training event in Altamont, Kansas. The goal of the event is to help 14 and 15-year-olds learn how to react to a situation with electrical wires exposed and how it can be unsafe on farm equipment. Now, one tip they learned: take it slow.
You know, sometimes we're in a time crunch and it's easy to work fast and be in a hurry, but even just slowing down a little bit will help those day-to-day tasks maybe go a little bit smoother and be safer.
It's a two-day event and will continue today. Teens must attend both days of the event to become certified. The event cost $10. Well, it is spring break for some areas in southeast Kansas, and that includes the Curious Minds Discovery Zone Children's Museum in Parsons. Some kids at Curious Minds got the creative juices flowing with some stories. And on Thursday, the museum held toddler time, which included reading a story and creating a storybook. There's a lot to do for kids at the museum during the spring break.
So our museum is all about hands-on learning. So if they can see it, they can touch it. Everything here they can play with has some sort of learning element to it. So not only do we have play exhibits for them to interact with, but we also have programming.
The Children's Museum has extended hours during the break. It's located at 1610 South 21st Street in Parsons. Well, this morning we're discussing St. Patrick's Day.
It's probable that St. Patrick didn't envision a day named after him. It's even more likely he couldn't have imagined the revelry associated with what's become an annual celebration.
While it's a religious observation for many Christians around the world, St. Patrick's Day has turned into a cultural holiday for many others, marking a day to wear green and to make yourself invisible to leprechauns. That's what you were doing on the weather set.
That's what I was trying to do, yes.
Or at the very least, avoid a good pinching. Simply being whatever your definition of Irish is.
And whatever your definition of St. Patrick's Day, we want you, of course, to have fun, enjoy the day. And from all of us here at KOAM Fox 14, we wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day. And that does bring us to our question for you this morning. How are you celebrating St. Patrick's Day? Are you going to go to a parade? Are you going to do some safe drinking? Are you going to wear green? Are you going to do all of those things? Are you going to do none of those things? Or maybe you're going to do something else. So far, 50% of you say you're at least going to wear green, and another 50% of you say you're not really doing anything special at all. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
Do you try to pinch your kids if they don't wear green?
No, I don't want to encourage that, because then they'll be after each other, they'll be after me, they'll be after mom, and then it'll just be a nightmare scenario for the rest of the day.
I did forget to lay out green clothes. Oops. There's still time.
You've got to hide from the leprechauns then.
Yes, do your best. All right, thanks, Chris. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Feel like your city has the luck of the Irish? Well, according to a list, some cities are luckier than others.
Plus, attention Ted Lasso fans. Airbnb offers a one-night stay at a Ted Lasso themed pub in Richmond, England. We've got the details.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, protests resume in Tel Aviv against Netanyahu's judicial reform bill. Israelis took to the streets again to protest plans by the government of Benjamin Netanyahu to overhaul the country's judicial system. Now, this is according to CNN. On Wednesday, Israeli President Isaac Herzog unveiled his proposed compromise on reforms for Israel's judiciary while warning in an impassioned speech the country was on the brink of civil war. 2 police officers are killed in Alberta, Canada early on Thursday. Police in the city of Edmonton say it happened shortly after midnight as the constables responded to a domestic dispute. Edmonton's police chief says 35-year-old Constable Travis Jordan and 30-year-old Constable Brett Ryan were fatally shot. Investigators say there is nothing to indicate that the officers fired their weapons. The chief called their deaths a, quote, unthinkable and horrific tragedy. One woman involved in the shooting is now in the hospital in stable condition. A male suspect was also killed in the incident, and from what investigators believe is a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They say the suspect was related to the woman. Ted Lasso fans, how would you like to spend the night at AFC Richmond's favorite pub? The Crown and Anchor is going on Airbnb for 3 nights to celebrate season 3 that just dropped on Apple TV+. May, the gritty pub owner on the hit show, will be the host. You and up to 3 of your mates can have a pint, play darts, and even try some of Ted's famous biscuits with tea, or as Ted calls it, garbage water. The 3 nights available are October 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The listing goes live on Airbnb on March 21st. Now the price? £112, or about $136 in American currency. Not bad. Transportation to Richmond, England is not included, though. A new Chinese study shows that Pyongyang missile could reach the United States in 33 minutes. Will Ripley reports.
In the skies near Japan, F-15s on the hunt for a suspected North Korean intercontinental ballistic missile, capturing what could be its last seconds in flight. This rare video, released by Japan's military, experts say the burning object resembles a ballistic missile boost rocket re-entering the atmosphere, flying for about an hour at hypersonic speeds.
If there's no interception or the interception fails, an ICBM launch from North Korea would take a little bit more than 30 minutes to reach the homeland US, and also depending on if it's the West Coast or the East Coast will take slightly more time.
Chinese scientists simulated a North Korean nuclear attack. According to the South China Morning Post, the simulation shows 33 minutes from the time of launch to the time of impact if U.S. missile defenses fail to shoot down the ICBM.
Missile defense begins here.
For years, U.S. leaders have reassured the public.
The nation should be very confident.
And America's allies.
Easily shoot them out of the sky.
Missile defense systems can keep them safe. But virtually all ballistic missiles travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound, sometimes faster.
It's been described as hitting a bullet with a bullet, trying to hit a warhead.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
A report last year finding America's missile defense system, the nation's best, perhaps only line of defense, only succeeds about half the time.
If North Korea were to fire nuclear-armed ICBMs at the United States, we cannot be assured that our missile defense system would prevent the deaths of millions.
A U.S. Missile Defense Agency report last year said the missile defense system has demonstrated a measured capability to defend the United States, deployed forces, and allies from a rogue nation's missile attack. But that rogue nation has a fast-growing arsenal. Kim Jong-un's military is mass-producing ICBMs. He knows a barrage of ballistic missiles could be too much for the U.S. to shoot down.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Missouri, IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this St. Patrick's Day Friday, and unfortunately, it is a cold one out there. Going to make it a little difficult to do some celebrating, but it's a good time to celebrate inside and just stay indoors where it's warm. MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line. We look good, but we are quite cold out there right now. At 7th and Range Line, same thing. We look good. We got clear skies. 29 in Joplin, feels like 19 though, with the northwest breeze at about 12. And as we look at temperatures across the region, we've got that northwesterly wind, so it is cold. 26 Iola, 28 Fort Scott, Nevada, Lamar, and Pittsburgh. 30 Chetopa, Miami, Neosho, and 29 in Carthage. You factor in the breeze right now, and it feels even colder, of course. 15 in Iola, 17 Fort Scott and Lamar, 21 Pittsburgh, Columbus. Feels like 19 in Neosho and 22 in Miami. And we are upwards of 30 degrees colder now than what we were 24 hours ago. But as I mentioned earlier, we in total have been up 40 degrees in the morning compared to 3 days ago. So we're still 10 degrees warmer than where we were 3 days ago, but it is cold. We'll have partly cloudy skies as we go through the morning. Cold conditions only up to about 34 by 11 a.m. Now the wind advisories have either expired or been canceled, but we could still see some gusts in that 20 to 30 mile an hour range as we head through the morning. And by the time we get to the afternoon, the winds will start to let up. They'll get into 15, 20 mile an hour range and continue to calm down through the evening. Partly cloudy skies, so it'll look nice outside, but only about 46 for the high, so a very chilly day for us across the region. As we head into this evening, another cold night on hand. Once the sun sets, we'll drop quickly back down to 35 by 10, maintaining partly cloudy to mostly clear skies and an overnight low of 25 degrees. So again, another very cold night for us. Now, we look ahead, and it's going to be cold again tomorrow. 38 Saturday, partly cloudy, down to 21, 42 on Sunday, down to 30, so a little bit of an improvement, mostly clear skies. First day of spring, we're looking to be cloudy but milder, 55, down to 37, and take a look. We start to warm up a bit. We go into Tuesday, we're near 60, so close to average at 59. Then we make it to 63 on Wednesday. We'll be cloudy, breezy, maybe some evening showers across the area. Thursday, we have another chance of showers and thunderstorms, but we also make it to near 70 degrees. Which will be above average for us, not that anybody's complaining, mind you. And then we cool down, but not significantly, which is nice. About 60 by next Friday with some scattered showers across the area, down to 37 for the low. Then we head into Saturday, we warm right back up near 70, 67 by Saturday, 52 for the low. And by next Sunday, we're mostly cloudy, but we're still in the 60s. So spring gets here, it does so just a day or so late. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Will you be getting into the Irish spirit today? Well, there will be countless parades, parties, and events. Some cities are hosting more than others. Alexis McAdams has the list, and it may surprise you.
If you're celebrating St. Patrick's Day this year, you're not alone. The National Retail Federation reporting 61% of consumers plan to observe the holiday. And revelers aren't just wearing green, they're dropping it as well. Data showing a whopping $6.9 billion will be spent, an all-time high according to the Trade Association, with most of that cash going toward food and beverages.
The U.S. has 6 times the amount of St. Patrick's Day events compared to the rest of the world.
The luck of the Irish is on the side of a few cities. Event management and ticketing site Eventbrite ranking the luckiest cities in America for St. Patrick's Day. Probably not a huge surprise, Chicago and Boston took the top 2 spots as the places holding the most events. But coming in third, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis seems to have a big population who is really looking forward to celebrating in lots of different ways. And we found different events from bar crawls to cruises to Irish crafting events and even food events as well.
Even if your city didn't top that list, Eventbrite says whether you spend the day watching a parade, drinking green beer, or listening to Irish music, there's no shortage of ways to embrace Irish culture.
There are thousands of ways to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, from Irish whiskey tasting to bar crawls. But if you're looking for a more subdued St. Patrick's Day, consider things like Irish dancing, Shamrock Cruise, or even an Irish food festival.
You're not alone.
Can't beat the Irish food. St. Patrick's Day is becoming more of a family affair. 74% of households with kids get in on the Irish spirit, while only 54% without participated. We'll be right back. Well, scientists think they've found proof there may have once been water on Mars. They discovered what appears to be the remains of a glacier near the red planet's equator. Now, that ice is no longer there, but evidence it may have once been comes in the form of salt deposits, which appear to have been pushed by a moving glacier. Researchers also found deep wedge-shaped openings known as crevice fields, and those form inside glaciers. They believe those features were preserved when materials from a nearby volcano came into contact with the ice. If there really was a glacier there, that means there might still be water somewhere on Mars. All right. Well, from the red planet to Frank's Red Hot sauce, Frank's Red Hot revealed this week the flavor they say we've all been waiting for. Dill pickle. The company describes it as being, quote, the ultimate blend of flavor and heat with a dilly, tangy, pickly twist. If you're not sure what will go with it, Frank's Red Hot suggests using it on popcorn, chicken nuggets, or French fries. Interesting, on popcorn. Frank's Red Hot's dill pickle, naturally flavored hot sauce, is available now, but online only at franksredhot.com.
Well, we've got a cold start for us today. We'll have wind gusts still 20 to 30 miles an hour through the morning, up to 34 by 11 under partly cloudy skies. Partly cloudy this afternoon, colder, highs pushing about 46 degrees. Winds will let up this afternoon. And as we head into this evening, we will continue to cool down. We remain partly cloudy to mostly clear, down to 35 by 10, and heading for a very cold overnight low of 25 degrees. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Investigation announces the name of the man found in a field in Galena back in February.
We've got a clear but very cold start for us for St. Patrick's Day. We'll tell you how cold it's going to be today and whether or not any warm weather's on the way coming up.
Only Altamont, Kansas has the power to host an electric safety training event for young teens.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 6 o'clock, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone out there. It's not a very nice St. Patrick's Day, though, because it is so cold outside. Yeah. We knew it was coming. It just still stinks, regardless whether we know it's coming or not. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line. It is clear, but it is cold out there. But hey, look, those traffic lights, at least for right now, in the spirit, as they are green. As we take a look at 7th and Range Line, still again clear, cold, 28 in Joplin, feeling like 19, with a northwest breeze at about 10 miles an hour. So we look at temperatures across the area. They look like this: 26 Iola, 29 in Chanute, 28 Parsons, 30 Miami, and 29 Neosho. And with that breeze, feels like 15 in Iola, 17 Fort Scott, 18 Lamar, and feels like 20 in Miami, putting us upwards of about 30 degrees colder this morning than where we were 24 hours ago. So it is definitely a chilly one. Cold start to our day. We'll still have some winds gusting 20 to 30 miles an hour, but wind advisories have either been canceled or have expired, and we'll be up to 34 by 11 o'clock. Winds will calm down this afternoon. We're heading for highs of about 46 under partly cloudy skies, and as we head into this evening, it's another cold one. We'll start to cool off, partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, 35 by 10 with an overnight low of 25 degrees. Now, the good news is spring officially arrives on Monday, and there is some spring-like weather on the way. We'll talk more about that here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Carthage's City Council votes to call an election on the question of whether to impose an additional 3% sales tax on recreational marijuana. With the additional 3%, city is expected to generate more than $50,000 within the first year for the city's general fund. The local dispensary supports the additional sales tax because the community will directly benefit from it.
It's a relatively low number. It's 3% for the city tax. Even when you add that up with the cannabis tax, the state tax, county, everything like that, it still totals to be one of the lowest, if not the lowest total tax rate in the country for cannabis.
Jasper County has its own recreational marijuana sales tax question on the April ballot, as do several municipalities within the county, including both Joplin and Webb City. Well, the man who Crawford County authorities say was involved in several incidents with gunfire, including shooting at law enforcement, has been charged. Aaron Swink is charged with several counts ranging from first-degree attempted murder to assault of a law enforcement officer, criminal threat, and aggravated assault, among other charges. Crawford County authorities last week searched the Pittsburgh area for more than 10 hours before finding and arresting Swink. They say he shot at a vehicle, a building, and exchanged gunfire with deputies leading up to the search. And authorities identified the body last month in Galena, Kansas, as a man from Carthage, Missouri. Kansas Bureau of Investigation says the man was 52-year-old Peter Whittington. KBI says Whittington last spoke to his family in late 2022. They say there is no signs of foul play, but they are waiting on the final autopsy report. His body was found on February 27th in a field. Several major U.S. banks gave a multi-billion-dollar lifeline to another regional bank that was at risk of failure. It came the same day Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen again tried to reassure Americans that, quote, our banking system is safe. Jared Hill has more.
U.S. stocks soared Thursday after 11 major U.S. banks injected $30 billion into California-based bank First Republic. It's the third rescue of a regional bank in less than a week. Federal regulators took over Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank just days ago. For some First Republic customers, this move comes too late.
Altogether, I decided to close this account.
While others, like actress Morgan Fairchild, say they're sticking with First Republic.
I love this bank. I haven't taken my money out. I don't intend to take my money out.
The group of big banks said the cash infusion was to show confidence in the country's banking system. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen negotiated the First Republic rescue plan with J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon and other banking executives. Testifying on Capitol Hill yesterday, Yellen also pushed a message of confidence in the nation's banks.
This week's actions demonstrate our resolute commitment to ensure that our financial system remains strong and that depositors' savings remain safe.
Some experts say it's not clear if these recent bank rescues are enough to restore that confidence.
Is that a long-term solution? I don't think so. Are there other companies that have exposure to the bigger systemic problem? Very possibly.
As of Thursday, the Federal Reserve said it's already loaned around $12 billion to cash-strapped banks just this week, all of it through its new emergency lending facility. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Shares for major European bank Credit Suisse also surged yesterday after the bank announced it would borrow nearly $54 billion from the Swiss National Bank. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. A Joplin lawyer has received a state award. Roger Johnson of the law firm Johnson, Voorhees, and Martucci was named to the 2023 Power List of Healthcare Attorneys by Missouri Lawyers Media. That list recognizes 20 of Missouri's most powerful healthcare attorneys, making an impact on the industry. Johnson shares his appreciation for everyone involved.
And it's not just the lawyers, the paralegals, legal assistants, everybody that's here that are very passionate about protecting the rights of people who have been hurt and trying to make a positive difference in their lives.
Johnson earned his law degree from the University of Kansas in 1991. Well, it's never too early to learn about electricity safety. Kansas State hosted an electric safety training event in Altamont, Kansas. The goal of the event is to help 14 and 15-year-olds learn how to react to a situation with electrical wires exposed and how it can be unsafe on farm equipment.
So we hold this training once a year, usually in the spring. This year we're holding it during spring break. So look for it to be available during spring break or right after school lets out.
It's a two-day event and will continue today. Teens must attend both days of the event to become certified. The event costs $10. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, getting a good night's sleep on World Sleep Day.
It's World Sleep Day, and doctors are noticing a troubling link between long COVID and insomnia. I'm Michael George with what they say could help you get a good night's sleep.
Plus, President Biden prepares to designate the largest national monument of his presidency. And Chris has another look at your Friday forecast and if we can expect winter weather into the weekend. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Instant rebate event. Exclusive rebates on luxury vinyl, ceramic tile, hardwood, and carpet.
Save hundreds
Tile, hardwood, and carpet.
Save hundreds instantly.
Plus, take 18 months to pay, interest-free.
The instant rebate event.
Now through Sunday at Johnson Floor and Home.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the governor of Utah signs legislation banning abortion clinics from operating in the state starting next year. Under House Bill 467, after May 2nd, the state will no longer grant licenses for abortion clinics. And depending on when their licenses were issued, abortion clinics will be prohibited from operating in the state on or after January 1st of 2024. Hospitals will still be allowed to perform abortions up to 18 weeks of pregnancy unless there is a medical emergency. President and CEO of the Planned Parenthood Association of Utah, Carrie Galloway, issued a statement saying, quote, "This dangerous law will have a devastating impact on our communities and harm those who already have the most difficulty assessing basic health care." Planned Parenthood Association of Utah added that its centers will remain open for now. A new report shows a positive step in the fight against the coronavirus. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports as of Thursday, only 27 counties in the U.S. have a high COVID-19 community level. These levels measure the risk the virus poses to communities. CDC recommends universal masking for those with a high level, but most counties, 90%, actually are at what is considered to be a low level. President Joe Biden is expected to designate the largest national monument of his presidency next week. It's called KOAM, or Spirit Mountain. Biden previously announced his commitment to protecting the area, which is located just south of Las Vegas. It's a sacred site for the Fort Mojave and other Native American tribal nations. And nearly 500,000 acres, it would mark the largest area Biden has placed under national conservation since he took office. Creating the national monument could expand habitat areas for a number of species, including bighorn sheep, deer, and several types of birds. Almost immediately, March Madness certainly lived up to its name. Some major upsets in just the first few games of round one, setting up a few potential Cinderella stories. Jared Hill has the latest.
Kicking off March Madness with a roar, the 15th seed Princeton Tigers knocked off the 2 seed Arizona Wildcats.
That's why you come to March Madness.
The bracket busting didn't stop there. 13 seed Furman, with their first trip to the big dance in 43 years, pushed out highly favored 4th seed Virginia. All 3 number 1 seeds advanced, with Kansas taking out 16 seed Howard University. Kansas hoping to become the first repeat champ since 2007. Alabama, the Tide, rolled to an easy win over Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And Houston took down Northern Kentucky in a closer than expected game that came at a price. Star guard Marcus Sasser left the game after he re-aggravated a groin injury. In one of the closest games of the day, a last-minute heave at the buzzer by number 9 seed West Virginia would have led them past 8th-ranked Maryland, but wasn't meant to be. By the end of the night, the NCAA's March Madness Twitter estimated of the millions of brackets submitted, just 787 perfect ones remain.
Watch as that number dwindles. The madness for the men is expected to continue today with 16 more first-round games. Women's tournament tips off tonight. South Carolina is looking for a back-to-back championship this year, and they're going in as the favorites, having gone undefeated all season. That's a look at several of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look.
Yeah, it is a very cold day across the 4 states. We look at the MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. We look good. Unfortunately, it is quite cold out there. As we take a look at temperatures, this is what we're talking about. 28 in Joplin. Feels like 19 with the northwest breeze at about 10 miles an hour. Across the area, we got that northerly wind that's blowing in. 26 Iola, 28 in Fort Scott, Nevada, Lamar, Pittsburgh, and Carthage. 30 Chetopa, Miami, and 29 in Neosho. When we factor in that breeze, Boy, does it feel chilly. 15 in Iola, 19 in Chanute and Parsons, 20 in Columbus, feels like 18 in Carthage, and feels like 20 in Miami. And that's putting us upwards of 30 degrees colder now than what we were 24 hours ago. However, I wanted to remind you that over the last 3 days, yesterday morning, we were 20 degrees warmer than the morning prior, and the morning prior, we were 20 degrees warmer than the day before that. So we're still technically about 10 degrees warmer than where we should be, or where we were 3 days ago. We're going to have some gusty winds this morning. We're looking at gusts probably reaching that 20 to 30 mile an hour range. And the good news is the wind advisories have either expired or they've been canceled, but it still is going to be a bit breezy, so it's going to make these lower to mid-30s feel much colder as we go through the morning, but we will be partly cloudy. And as we head into our afternoon, we're looking at highs right around 46 degrees. I wish it was 60 degrees, but it's not. We're looking at 46, partly cloudy skies. Winds will start to let up progressively as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. We're going to take a more in-depth look at your forecast, talk about what happens when spring starts, and of course have a little weather trivia for you when the KOAM Morning News returns.
What is going on next?
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:18 on this cold St. Patrick's Day across the area. We want to begin with a little weather trivia this morning. We want to know what instrument is used to measure the water vapor content of the air. Is it an anemometer, a barometer, a rain gauge, or a hygrometer? While you think about that, let's take a look at that forecast. 7th and range line, even though it's still dark, the skies are clear, it is cold, and there is no snow on the ground. We did see some across the area, but didn't really add up to much, which is good. The last thing we want to deal with is snow. All right, MoDOT camera 20th and range line looks good as well, but it is cold out there. How cold is it? Well, it's this cold. 28 in Joplin. It's feeling like 19. That's with the northwest breeze at about 10 miles an hour. We got cold quick behind that front yesterday, and it is very chilly to start. 26 Iola, 27 in Yates Center, 28 Neodesha, Parsons, 30 Chetopa, Miami, 29 Neosho, 28 in Carthage, Lamar, and Nevada as we get our day started. And you factor in that breeze, and it feels like 15 in Iola is the cold spot. 18 Yates Center, Neodesha, feels like 22 in Pittsburgh, 18 in Lamar, and feels like 20 down in Miami. We are upwards of about 30 degrees colder now than what we were 24 hours ago, but you don't really need to see this map to know that it has gotten considerably colder since yesterday. And unfortunately, we're not going to do a lot of warming, at least not for the next few days. We're going to have partly cloudy skies as we go through the morning, and we'll also still have some gusty winds. 20, 30 mile an hour wind gusts are possible. Wind advisories have been canceled or have expired, but still a bit breezy, up to about 34 by 11 this morning. As we head into this afternoon, we're looking at a high of about 46 degrees, so a lot colder than where we were yesterday. The winds will start to let up. Now, as we get into the late afternoon, early evening, winds are still going to be blowing out there about 15, 20 miles an hour, and as we head into the evening, they'll really begin to calm down. We'll remain partly cloudy to mostly clear as we head through our evening and eventually drop back down to a low of 25 degrees, so a very, very cold night ahead of us. All right, so what instrument is used to measure the water vapor content of air? Well, if you happen to pick D, hygrometer, you would have been correct. As a matter of fact, there are different types of hygrometers. For example, the metal coil type uses a coil and paper strings, and there's the hair tension type, which, believe it or not, uses human or animal hair to measure the moisture in the atmosphere. So, thankfully, I don't have any hair. All of it went to hygrometers. We have got another cold weekend. 38 tomorrow, 42 on Sunday. Very chilly for us. Very first day of spring. It's a little bit milder, still below average, but better. Cloudy, 55 degrees. We see our overnight lows start to warm up as our high temperatures warm up, which will be nice. 59 on Tuesday, mostly cloudy, maybe some scattered showers in the evening on Wednesday. Breezy, 63. More thunderstorm chances as we head into Thursday, but much warmer, 68. And even with these thunderstorm chances cooling us off, they do not have the same punch as the system that just came through. So we only drop back down to about 60 on Friday, which puts us back to about average with some scattered showers. And as we head into the weekend, we start to warm right back up again. So we look at 67 by next Saturday, 63 by next Sunday. So we do have spring arriving. It's just a day or two late. but we'll get here. Long-range stuff still shows a couple more cold spells for us before we get into April, but otherwise we're going to start to settle into a more mild pattern. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Partnering with people to live healthier lives.
Topping Health Watch this morning, new research finds children who have teachers of the same ethnicity as themselves usually develop better learning and problem-solving skills by age 7. The benefit was highest in Black and Latino communities. The study's authors say diversifying the educator workforce could be a key step in promoting greater equity in schools. A new UK study finds some preterm babies may have greater difficulties with pain. Researchers believe the ability to get used to repeated pain develops during the 3rd trimester, so babies born early have not developed the proper mechanism. Researchers say pain tolerance can help preserve physical, emotional, and cognitive resources. And your pet may be keeping you up at night. Researchers in Tennessee found dog owners have greater odds of developing sleep disorders, while owning a cat was associated with having leg jerks during sleep. Researchers say possible solutions include crating your pet at night or restricting its access to the bedroom. Well, a study in the Journal of Sleep Research shows just how common sleep disorders are for people hospitalized with long COVID. Half reported struggling with insomnia, and on this World Sleep Day, experts want to bring awareness to the toll on both physical and mental health. Michael George has the story.
When Priya Matthew recovered from a mild case of COVID-19 in November, she thought she was out of the woods. Then came long COVID.
At one point, I counted 23 symptoms. The most alarming ones were shortness of breath, labored breathing, heart palpitations.
One of the most crippling symptoms was insomnia.
Nothing worked. I would just lie awake in agony all night, and it felt like electric shocks going through my body from my head down to my toes.
Dr. Emmanuel During has been seeing that in sleep patients at Mount Sinai Hospital. For those with long COVID, he says insomnia is often related to pain and is resistant to treatment.
Pain which can occur at night as well, and a lot of autonomic imbalance, autonomic impairment, which is the ability of our body to control heart rate and blood pressures. That can lead to episodes of palpitation, night sweats.
Even for those without long COVID, the pandemic has robbed Americans of their beauty rest. In a 2022 survey, nearly a third said they'd experienced sleep disturbances since COVID began. That's down from 56% the year before, a phenomenon described as COVID-somnia. Priya Matthew shared her battle in a column for Axios.
When you're so sleep deprived, how does that impact your day?
I mean, I couldn't work for a month, at least. Any little task took way too much energy. Just taking a shower, I had to rest for, 3 hours after that.
Doctors say it's critical to stick to your best sleep hygiene, regular bedtimes and no screens late at night, with the hope that as the pandemic fades, we'll all get the sleep that's so essential to our health. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Doctors say it is a good idea to consult a sleep specialist because insomnia may reveal other health issues like sleep apnea. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got ourselves a very cold start to our St. Patrick's Day and not doing a lot of warming. Could still see some winds gusting upwards 20, 30 miles an hour through the morning. Partly cloudy into about the mid-30s by 11 this morning. We'll eventually start to warm to about the mid-40s across the area. Still partly cloudy skies, but the good news is as we head later into the afternoon and evening hours, those winds will start to let up considerably, and they'll be a lot calmer than they were yesterday. As we head into our evening, we're still chilly. We're going to be partly cloudy to mostly clear. We're going to be down to 35 by 10 rather, and overnight low, a very cold 25. As we head into the weekend, it's not going to be a very warm one, but there'll be some sunshine at least. 38 tomorrow, 42 on Saturday, first day of spring 55. Then we'll start to get those spring-like temperatures as we head through next week, warming into the 60s and in near 70 by Thursday. And then we're watching some additional thunderstorm chances as we head into next Thursday. We'll be back with more right after this.
Right now at 6:30, it's a celebration 150 years in the making as the city of Joplin prepares to hit a historic milestone.
We've got ourselves a huge temperature drop, 30 degrees colder than where we were yesterday at this time, and we're going to remain cold for the next few days. We'll talk about that and when spring arrives coming up.
Museum in Parsons, Kansas has the perfect plan for those young and curious minds during spring break.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a very cold St. Patrick's Day for us today. It's not very March-like out there, but again, technically, at least for the next few days, we are still in winter. So I guess Mother Nature said, well, hold up. It's still winter time. This is what it feels like. Don't forget. Not like we needed the reminder, but we are getting that reminder. MoDOT camera, 20th at range line. We look good, but we are cold. 7th at range line. We got those clear skies, but cold temperatures to go along with it. 28 in Joplin. Feels like 19 with that northwest breeze at about 10 miles an hour out there. As we look at temperatures across the area, they look cold. 26 Iola, 28 Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Parsons, Lamar, and Carthage. 29 Neosho, Monette, Anderson, and 30 in Chautauqua and Miami. You factor in the wind. Cold spot this morning's been Iola at 15. It feels like 16 in Yates Center, 19 Chanute, Parsons, 20 Miami, and 18 in Carthage. So it feels much colder out there, and the temperatures are about 30 degrees colder now than where we were 24 hours ago. So bitterly cold start for us. As we go through our morning, we could still see some wind gusts in that 20 to 30 mile an hour range, but the wind advisories have either expired or been canceled because they're not going to be that strong. Partly cloudy, up to about 34 by 11 this morning. As we head into this afternoon, we're looking to reach into about the mid 40s. Partly cloudy skies. Winds will start to ease up as we head later into the afternoon and into our evening hours, and they'll be fairly calm as we go into the evening. We'll still be partly cloudy to mostly clear, down 35 by 10, 25 for our overnight low. As I mentioned, we stay cold. 38 tomorrow, 42 on Sunday. First day of spring, 55 and cloudy. Then we're warming back up. 59 Tuesday, 63 by next Wednesday, maybe some showers, and then 68 by next Thursday with some thunderstorm chances. So we will start to see spring across the area. We just got to get through a few more cold days first. Tanya?
Thanks, Chris. Joplin will celebrate its 150th birthday next week. KOAM's Yana Tula talked with a historian and Visitors Bureau about the celebration events that are going to be happening throughout the year.
The city of Joplin is inviting residents to celebrate the city turning 150 years old.
We're going to try to spread the word of history in different venues, and what we're going to be using is film, we're going to be using music, and we're going to be doing lectures. So we got a great smorgasbord of different events for us to learn more about our great country and our history of our city as well.
The events are free of cost, thanks to sponsors and fundraising. For those wanting to support the celebration, there's 150th merchandise available.
The public can help by buying one of the Centennial commemorative coins, and those are available at all the Joplin, Southwest Missouri Bank locations, and they're $20 for a commemorative coin, and that money goes back to help us put on the event.
Organizers planned a birthday party for March 23rd at the City Hall. Brad Belk will talk about the almost 50 years old Thomas Hart Benton mural and more.
Well, we would have never got our start without mining, and primarily it began first as lead, and then later it transitioned into zinc. But for 75 years, it was our central economy.
You know, we've got to celebrate the mining history, the events that have taken us 150 years to get here. But how do we set people up to be inspired for the next 150 years to carry Joplin forward?
In Joplin, Janna Haudala, KOAM News.
Patrick Tuttle says more events celebrating Joplin's 150th year will be announced soon. A link to the current list of events can be found on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Joplin's first third Thursday of 2023 kicked off last night. The event features a variety of local nonprofits, businesses, and food vendors. Every vendor you see must pay a fee to the Downtown Joplin Alliance to be a part of the community event. Those funds are used to keep the event going and to reinvest in the community. According to the executive director of the Alliance, Lori Hahn, a different local charity or organization is selected to receive funds. The money is also used to hire officers and others to help run the event.
But we do a lot more than just Third Thursday. We do Empire Market. We do a lot to support our downtown businesses in general, seeking out new businesses, working with property owners and business owners to find incentives for redevelopment and things like that.
The third Thursday runs from March to October. It's spring break for some areas in southeast Kansas, and that includes the Curious Minds Discovery Zone Children's Museum in Parsons. And some kids at Curious Minds got the creative juices flowing with some stories. On Thursday, the museum held toddler time, which included reading a story and creating a storybook. There's a lot to do for kids at the museum during the spring break.
So every week we offer 3 elements of programming in the morning, Thursdays and Fridays, and then after school on Thursdays for after school age kids. But then we have special events and activities that we plan.
The Children's Museum has extended hours during the break. It's located at 1610 South 21st Street in Parsons. Well, this morning we're discussing St. Patrick's Day.
It's probable that St. Patrick didn't envision a day named after him. It's even more likely he couldn't have imagined the revelry associated with what's become an annual celebration.
While it is a religious observation for many Christians around the world, St. Patrick's Day has turned into a cultural holiday for many others, marking a day to wear green and to make yourself invisible to leprechauns, or at the very least avoid a good pinching, or simply being whatever your definition of Irish is.
And whatever your definition of St. Patrick's Day, we want you to have fun, enjoy the day, and of course from all of us here at KOAM and Fox 14, we want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day. And that does bring us to our question for you this morning. How do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Do you go to a parade? Do you do some safe drinking? Do you wear green? Do you do all of those things? Do you do none of those things? Or maybe you do something else. And so far, 67% of you say that you wear green, 22% of you say that you don't really do much at all, and another 11% of you say that you do all of those things. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, our app, take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
I'd say I do all of them except for the parade. We don't really have those around here for St. Patrick's
We don't.
Day.
That is true. We really don't.
We should. We should. Maybe if it was warmer, we would.
Yeah, today's not a good day for a parade.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. We like to close out the week with our good friend Shannon Becker and his big 3 stories of the week. Do you think you know what they are? We'll find out.
And it is again a cold one across the area. We'll take another look at that forecast and whether or not spring will actually get here when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Welcome back. It's time to close out the week with our own Shannon Becker and his big 3 stories.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
To you as well.
Are you Irish?
I am not.
My name is Irish. I don't know if I'm Irish or not, though. My middle name's Patrick, even. Did you know that?
Today I'm Irish.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Like the millions of other Americans.
When I used to be on the radio, I used to always put the O in front of everybody's name. So you would be Tanya Obach today. Ooh. Yes. Shannon O'Becker, let's take a look at it. All right, a police pursuit number 3 this week. It's the big 3 stories live and local. 100-mile-an-hour vehicle there. This young gentleman from Oklahoma City was taking a nap there after he was arrested for a litany of charges. Oh my goodness. I think there were 17 charges that he'd racked up. Also, multiple felony warrants for this young man. He's in the Jasper County Jail right now. Also, there was a female companion that was arrested as well. She's being held on numerous charges. More details, you can check it out on our website, KOAM News Now. They crashed out in Schifferdecker Park in that 100-mile-an-hour crash. They were not injured. Wow.
They're very lucky.
Yeah, number 2 story. Joplin News First, what's live and local. 34 years as a Joplin Emergency 911 dispatch. Congratulations to Greg Henry. He retired this last week. They say that the duration of people in this job is about only 2 years. Can you imagine 34 years? Greg is obviously everyone at the department now and in the past, big fans. There's Vanessa. She used to work at KOAM 20 years ago with me. She works at the Joplin Police Department now. He is one of those people, I don't know him personally, but they say that he's just real steady. He was on the phone doing emergency dispatch, in fact, a year ago, when the Joplin police officers were shot. And of course, someone that's very close to those officers also. So congratulations, though, on your retirement.
Good man to have on the other line.
Number 1 story this week, Joplin News First. It was over the weekend. A car goes off into the creek right here. Turkey Creek.
Wow.
The call was really odd. Driving down the road was a Webb City off-duty fireman. Saw some people trying to wave down cars, and they said there's a car off in the creek. It was really cold that night also. Get down there, and he helped get this guy. He was laying on top of his car. He'd gotten out. It's pretty deep there. About 90% of the car was underwater. Missouri State Highway Patrol issued a ticket overnight for a Granby man for DWI. Went off of 7th Street and into the drink, I guess you could kind of say there. The water was pretty swift too.
Car took a drink.
Yeah.
Was he okay?
Oh yeah, he's fine. Yeah, isn't that crazy? All the drunks are fine when they wreck. Just today, I guess, at least. And then our bonus story of the week, on our big three, it's a new 911 center they're building in Lawrence County. They've been without one for years. They've been contracting with Berry County for years, and so now this is a big new endeavor. They're building a 911 center. It'll be a new jail, sheriff's office, a health department. It's right off of the interstate, south of the interstate. You can see it driving through Mount Vernon. Huge radio tower is already in place. They'll have all their 911 dispatchers. Just in the last week, they've got the whole building up. I was there yesterday evening, and this is what it looks like even currently. It's amazing how it's taken shape so quickly. It's one of these prefab buildings. It'll be a FEMA tornado shelter also.
Oh, nice. Is this inside Mount Vernon city limits or in the county?
I think they'll annex it eventually, but it's right there. You know, you could throw a rock and hit it. So
okay.
Right there in Mount Vernon. That's our bonus story. Joplin News First, our big three of the week.
All right. Well, if you don't mind sticking around for our Fox show, we'd love to have you again.
I'll be here.
We'll be right back.
Time for some Friday birthdays here in the 4 states, and we are beginning with Gemma Alberta Grace, celebrating birthday number 3. It says happy birthday from Mom, Dad, Grandma, and Grandpa.
Might be Gemma.
You're probably right. You're absolutely right.
Happy birthday, sweetie. And a happy 7th birthday to Hadley Morgan, who's now 7 strong in Carthage.
And Silas Herring celebrating birthday number 10 in Liberal. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Silas. And a happy birthday going out to Stormy, who's 15 years old. Love Mama, Nanny, Ronalds, and all your family.
And Peyton Head celebrating birthday number 15. And she is actually the sister of our technical media operator, Courtney Head, who works here at KOAM. So very happy birthday to you, Peyton.
All right. And in Frontenac, John Jones celebrating birthday number 38.
And Matt Alloway over in Parsons celebrating birthday number 40. Happy birthday, Matt.
Sharon Bartley celebrating birthday number 43. Looking great there, Sharon, in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. Happy birthday. Love, Mom and Dad.
And J.D. Fries celebrating birthday number 67 in Moorhead, Kansas. Happy birthday, J.D.
Judy Clugston celebrating the big 8-0 this year. Looking great there, Judy, in Columbus.
And Jim and Denise Farinacci in Asbury celebrating their 48th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to Jim and Denise.
All right, and up in Fort Scott, it's a 50th anniversary for Wib and Patty Moen. Love that throwback wedding picture there. Congratulations to the Moens.
And then, of course, since it's Peyton's birthday, it's also Courtney's birthday. Courtney Head, our KOAM technical media operator, celebrating her birthday today as well. Happy birthday.
And congratulations. Yeah, I don't know why I say congratulations. Happy birthday, Courtney. Cool that you and your sister get to share together. John Haggerty in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday to you, John.
And we're celebrating Jaden Stevens today. Happy birthday, Jaden.
And Jean Swan celebrating a birthday as well.
All right, what a great birthday list to wrap up the week. And of course, we want to continue to see more birthdays and anniversaries. Tanya can tell you where you need to send them.
That's right. All you have to do is email them to us. Don't forget the S on this one, birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website checking out all the neat things it's got to offer, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get some great deals from local businesses, and you get a special message from your friends here at KOAM. So just make sure you sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club by heading over to KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, quick check of that forecast for you. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looks good so far. Got clear skies, but it is cold. 28 in Joplin, feeling like 19 with a northwest breeze at about 10 miles an hour. Cold across the region. Temperatures look like this. 27 Fort Scott, Nevada, Yates Center, Neodesha. 26 Iola. 28 Parsons, Pittsburgh. 30 Chetopa, Miami, and 29 Neosho and Monette. You factor in the breeze, feels like 15 in Iola, 17 Fort Scott, Lamar, 20 in Pittsburgh, 20 in Miami, and feels like 19 in Parsons. And we are about 30 degrees colder now than what we were 24 hours ago, so it is a big change from where we have been the last couple of days. Wind advisories canceled or expired, but could still see some gusts this morning in that 20 to 30 mile an hour range. Partly cloudy up to 34 by 11. We're looking at a high today of about 46 degrees. Winds will start to let up as we head into the afternoon and into the evening hours, and we remain partly cloudy. And we'll hold on to partly cloudy to mostly clear skies as we head into this evening, down to 35 by 10. Calm winds, and then eventually making it back down to a very cold 25 tonight. 38 tomorrow. A little more sunshine, 42 on Sunday, 55 and cloudy for the first day of spring. And as we go through next week, we start to get some spring-like temperatures. We're 63 Wednesday, 68 Thursday, maybe some thunderstorms, down to 60 for Friday, and it's a brief cool down before we turn around. 67 next Saturday and 63 by next Sunday. So spring will get here, and we will get to experience an extended period of mild temperatures as we head into the next week. Well, we've got the news you need to know before you head out the door just around the corner. But first, let's take a look at what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Adriana Diaz. Coming up on CBS Mornings, this St. Patrick's Day, one of Ireland's biggest stars, singer-songwriter Hozier, will be here to discuss his new music. And he will, of course, also perform for us. You won't want to miss that. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Carthage's City Council votes to call an election on the question of whether to impose an additional 3% sales tax on recreational marijuana. With the additional 3%, the city is expected to generate more than $50,000 within the first year for the city's general fund. The local dispensary supports the additional sales tax because the community will directly benefit from it. Authorities identify the body found last month in Galena, Kansas as 52-year-old Peter Whittington from Carthage, Missouri. KBI says Whittington last spoke to his family in late 2022. They say there are no signs of foul play, but they're waiting on the final autopsy report. His body was found February 27th in a field. The city of Joplin is celebrating its 150th birthday next week and is asking residents to join events they'll be hosting around the town. The events are free of charge thanks to sponsors and fundraising. For those wanting to support the celebration, there's a 150-year merchandise available. Well, residents in Parsons, Kansas will see updates on area trails in the near future. The Rotary Club in Parsons announced a $50,000 grant from T-Mobile to connect Rotary and Frisco trails. The money will also pay for additional safety features. The connected part will include emergency blue light stations that will be connected to the police department. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
After a very cold start for us today, not a lot of warming. Will be partly cloudy. Winds will start to calm down this afternoon. About 46 for a high. Partly cloudy to mostly clear as we head into the evening. And we'll eventually drop back down to a low of 25 degrees. We're cold through the weekend too. Only 38 tomorrow, 42 Sunday, 55 for the first day of spring. And then we really see spring temperatures as we head into next week. Upper 50s, 60s, near 70 by Thursday with some thunderstorm chances. A brief cool down next Friday, 60 with some showers. And then by next weekend, we're right back to some very nice, pleasant, mild, spring-like temperatures across the area.
Well, due to the NCAA March Madness basketball today, we do not have a noon show. But if you are interested, Howard from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen is making Irish milkshakes. Sound familiar?
I feel like we may have done this before. Like maybe yesterday morning?
I wonder how his compared to ours. If you'd like to see either recipe, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. A massive patchwork of seaweed is drifting closer to Florida beaches, and experts warn there could be health concerns as tourists pack the beaches. Next on CBS Mornings, Manuel Borriquez visits Florida's Gulf Coast to learn what's behind the toxic tide.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we've got a return visit from Shannon Becker and his big 3 stories of the week.
Plus, Jeannie Moose stories always make us smile, but
yeah.
she has one today that makes everyone smile except for one 4-year-old. We'll explain. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here Monday morning at 5 a.m.
But not for the noon show today. Not today.
Not today.
We'll see you back here Monday.
Have a great weekend.